Social team members. My name is Kelsey Cooper, and I am filling in for our usual host, Sarah Rainey. I am Blue Star's Associate Director of Marketing, Lifestyle, and Communications, and I am super excited to be here with all of you today. So welcome to our second Keynote Speaker Series event of the year. If you joined us for the first one in January, welcome back. And if you are joining us for the first time this year, thank you. Before we get started, I wanted to say that we will be recording the session and posting the recording, the slides, and all of the recipes to MTL in the coming days. But if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to use the Q&A feature. There will be some fun opportunities for some feedback and some interaction throughout, so be sure to use the chat for that. So questions for Q&A, chat for all the fun stuff. And without further ado, let's get started. So it is my pleasure to tell you about registered dietitian, nutritionist, and TV host Zonya Foco. She's here to share how to lower cholesterol with these 3 foods. Many of you already know her from our awesome session a couple weeks ago on anti-aging food secrets. That recording is on MTL now if you missed it, so be sure to go on there and check it out if you have not seen it yet. But to remember her name, Zonya Foco, she tells people to think of lasagna coco, which is a great name for a nutritionist, don't you think? We all call her lasagna here in our office. Hailing from Onstead, Michigan, Zonya is the host of Zonya's Health Bites, a weekly half-hour show that's aired on public television stations nationwide for over a decade. She's the author of the best-selling Lickety Split Meals and Eat Real cookbooks, which are truly the fastest way to healthy. Her 6 online programs for controlling diabetes, depression, blood pressure, and cholesterol help so many people shock their doc by their next appointment. In fact, many people have successfully dropped their cholesterol by 50 points or more, going without statins, all from what she's about to share with us today. So with that, let's get started. Please help me welcome our friend Lasagna Coco.
Kelsey, thank you so much. Awesome. And thank you all so much for joining me today. And welcome to Lower Your Cholesterol with these 3 foods. Can 3 foods really help you lower your cholesterol? Yes, indeed, these 3 foods can absolutely help lower your cholesterol. And you know what? They're delicious, especially when you make them the way I'm going to show you today and all the variety of ways. And they're super affordable and super accessible and easy to find. Oh my goodness. So let's jump into it, shall we? And first of all, what are you going to learn from me today? I mean, what can you expect? So here's what I just wanted to make sure you know what we're going to do today. We're going to find out why some foods work as well as medicine to lower our cholesterol and why. Yep, we're going to find out why, how they work, and what it is to do that. And what are these foods we should be adding to our diet? Because a lot of times we know what to take away, but not what to add. And we're going to talk about what a lot of people are doing wrong. Yep, a lot of people are doing wrong so that you can make sure you're not one of those people. And then the 3 easy foods that you can start adding today, we're going to jump right into that right up here in a second. And we'll talk about the results that you can expect very realistically from this. And then we'll have time for Q&A. So if you have a question as we go, like Kelsey said, type it in the Q&A session. We'll save it towards the end. And I'll definitely address all the questions definitely at the end. Now, before I jump in to my first food, I wanted to share with you that my first job was at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan, for the Michigan Heart and Vascular Institute. And I worked for 10 years there, working with people who had high cholesterol, needed to get their cholesterol down, working with them in that way, helping them to do things. And they were motivated, they were like, hey, my doc says I'm like a heart attack waiting to happen. I need to get my cholesterol down. And they were pretty motivated. But you want to know who was the most motivated? It was the people who had already had a heart attack or the people who had already had triple bypass surgery. And I would talk to them and I would say, do you know, like they would say, I'm already doing everything I can. I'm already doing everything I can. I'm like, you are? Okay. Yeah. What are you doing? Well, I cut the eggs out. I cut back on the cheese and I only have bacon once a week and there's nothing else I can do. I mean, I'm already doing everything. And I was like, oh, okay, great. I said, but like, have you, how many beans are you eating? And they're like, beans? What does that have to do with it? And I go, oh, like everything. Beans soak up cholesterol and sponge them right out of your body. And they're like, green beans? No, not green beans. We're talking about pinto beans, kidney beans, garbanzo beans. They are amazing how you will just, cholesterol will be removed from your body, the soluble fiber that they contain. And they're like, I didn't know anything about beans. I go, yeah, beans 4 times a week. And then we proceed to talk about other foods to add to their diet. They go, I didn't know about foods to add to my diet. I only heard about the foods I was supposed to take away. Today, we're talking about the foods to add to your diet because they work like medicine to lower your cholesterol. And that leads me to my first of the 3 foods that I want to share with you, and that is beans. And I'm not talking green beans. I'm talking pinto beans, kidney beans, garbanzo beans, and lentils. Yeah, black-eyed peas, lima beans, all of those, they have that spongy, gummy texture. Same as oats. I could have also picked oats as one of my 3 foods. Okay, there's really like hundreds of foods that lower cholesterol, but I'm trying to keep it to just the top 3, and oats are excellent too. You know how you cook oats and they get all gummy and gooey when you cook them? And that gummy gooiness is that cholesterol sponging, just like statins do to help sponge cholesterol out of your body. So that's why oats are an excellent breakfast food. Yes, they are. But let's not stop there. Let's add beans. Beans 4 times a week. Now, I'm having a little heart to heart with you. How often do you have beans? I know when I was growing up, I had chili a couple times in the winter, baked beans a couple times in the summer. Baked beans had a cup of brown sugar mixed in, 4 strips of raw bacon across the top. Let the grease cook down into the yeah, you get the idea. Can flavor beans without all that? And what else about them helps lower cholesterol? I mean, what's the deal? So let's go to our slides and I'll show you again exactly what it is. How do these beans really, really work? How do they really work? First of all, did you know that consuming beans 4 times a week reduces your risk of heart disease by 21%? Now, some of you are like, okay, I need to move from 4 times a year to 4 times a week. Yeah, 4 times a week. But it's definitely dose respondent. If you can do this, now this is in the Archives of Internal Medicine, 2 different sources where this is at, but guess what? Did you also know that consuming beans daily reduces your risk of heart disease by 38%? Yeah, 38%. So the more, the better. In fact, the longest lived people of the world, people who are centenarians, 100 years old, they're called the blue zones. And when they look, every single one of these groups, these blue zone groups, eat beans almost every day. Yeah, lentils, split peas, the whole variety of beans. Yeah, all of them. So you're like, beans, but they're kind of gassy. Well, I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. Don't worry. We'll talk about that. And do they have to be cooked from scratch like that? No, they can be canned beans, but you can cook them from scratch either way. But how do you do them without a ham hock and yada, yada? So beans, how do these work? First of all, why do they work like medicine? They work like medicine because they're extremely high in soluble fiber, like I said before. And the high in B vitamins, including folacin, which drives down homocysteine. Yep. Very important. And some of you are like, homocysteine, I never heard of that. Well, there's your cholesterol and there's your homocysteine. And if you can have that measured as well with when you get your blood tested, it's an excellent thing to ask for. Say, doc, they don't all do it because it's extra cost and everything, but you can ask and you can say, I would like my homocysteine level measured too. This is not new. I've known it for over 30 years. And it is also linked not only to our cholesterol and heart disease, but it's also linked to brain health and Alzheimer's disease and stroke. So the whole brain, the whole heart, homocysteine. So bringing our homocysteine levels down. And guess what? The B vitamins in beans helps bring homocysteine levels down. So it's a double whammy for helping us to live longer. So it doesn't just lower our cholesterol, it lowers our overall heart disease risk. So back to this. Looking at, it's loaded with potassium. It's higher in potassium than a banana. Yeah, if I were doing the session, lower your blood pressure with these three foods, I would pick beans because they're really high in potassium. And we need to not just eat less sodium, but we need to eat more potassium. So that works really, really great. So they're just so smart. And they contain phytochemicals that reduce inflammation and oxidative stress. This is, not only do we want to lower our cholesterol, but we want to reduce inflammation throughout the body. This is that chronic systemic inflammation that increases our risk of heart disease. So it's both those two things. It's not just lowering your cholesterol, but also inflammation. It's high in protein, often replaces or at least decreases the red meats that we eat, right? When we have a red meat meal, we can decrease it and have a much smaller amount and have beans at that meal. That is a brilliant way to enjoy a little bit of red meat, and just, it's really the amount. We eat too much in America. If we can scale it way down and include a bean salad, beans on our salad, something like that, that is great because we're replacing that saturated fat in the meat. And meat is zero fiber. Beans are loaded with the fiber, and they have protein, and they have all these antioxidants. Meat doesn't have that either. That's a really great swap out. Yes, it really is. So how can we make this delicious and tasty, right? These beans. And before I jump into this video that I'm about to show you how to make that beautiful thing, before I do that, I just want to share this one more important story with you. I was telling you about how I worked at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital in Ann Arbor, Michigan, at the Michigan Heart and Vascular Institute. And I was sharing how people were either really motivated or really motivated. And I was working with this gentleman, and he had just had a quadruple bypass, and the doctor and I are there with him, and we're like, he's like, how long does this last? And the doctor said, well, if you don't change your lifestyle, the average last is 7 years, and until your arteries clog again, and you'll be back for another one. And the guy was like, oh no, I don't want to be back for another one. Then let's change your lifestyle. And I want you to know that changing your lifestyle, we're all so scared about that. We're all so scared that it's hard and it doesn't taste good. And I got to eat things like oats and beans. Oh, wait a minute, oats and beans can be delicious. And I'm about to prove that to you right now. Delicious, simple, affordable, all those things. This recipe I've listed for you. You have the recipe, but it also can be found in this amazing cookbook, if I must say so myself. And so here we go on page 113, or in your link, these healthified 3-bean salad. As you print it out, it'll look like that from the website, the way I've given you the link. And so you're going to start out with 3 cans. So 3 cans. So, and you might think this is a lot for just 1 or 2 people, but this will stay in your refrigerator for 4 days, and you can eat on it. You can share it with others. It's going to be delicious. So you open up these 3 cans. Now, I sometimes buy organic. I sometimes buy low sodium. That helps, but you don't have to. You're rinsing off quite a bit of the sodium, and then either not adding salt or adding only a little bit of salt will be perfectly fine. Now, yes, red onion. We're a big fan of red onion in our salads, and then that fresh tomato, and then fresh basil. Where you live, you probably can grow fresh basil. Where I live in Michigan, I had to buy it. And it about killed me to buy it because I grow it all summer long outside my front door. But that's a chopped red pepper. And then that fresh basil that you're adding to this. Oh, these flavors are going to be amazing. And you could use dried basil if that's all you had. That's okay. You could do that. And then I'm using a really good balsamic vinegar, a 1/4 cup of that, and a 1/4 cup of oil, really good olive oil, an extra virgin olive oil. So together, those two are a 1/2 cup. And I am going to, not the cup, this typical recipe would use a cup of oil, and we're not doing that. And so it has a teaspoon of Dijon mustard. This is going to add amazing flavor. And then a little bit of honey. Now, this typical recipe, 1 tablespoon, a typical recipe has 1 cup of sugar in the traditional 3-bean salad. No, we're not doing that. We've reduced it to 1 tablespoon of honey. That's right. And then a little bit of salt and pepper. It's only a quarter teaspoon of salt, and this sodium will not be too much. There's still more potassium than there is sodium in this dish, which will make this be excellent for your blood pressure. And as we mix that all together, now you think, wow, is that going to be enough flavor for this? Oh, yes, indeed it will be. Now, this is delicious right away, but if you let it set for 2 hours or even overnight, yeah, make this the night before you're going to serve this at a potluck. And everyone will be asking for the recipe. It's so fresh. The flavors are just amazing. So you make that, you have it in your fridge, and you have it alongside it. You put it on top of a big bed of lettuce greens, have it be on top, have it be just, I mean, it's great. The dressing that's in it will dress the salad. Yeah, yeah. And that's what's so great about it. So have it on the side of a sandwich, have it as an entree, you name it. Adding beans more regularly to your diet can easily be done. And this is where the magic is. It's so much more than eggs and bacon and cheese. It's so much more than just what foods to take away. It's so much more about what foods to add to your diet. So there's one idea. Will you try it? Will you? Will you? Will you? Will you? Put it in the chat right now. If you're a yes, say yes. My AV guy says he's stoked. I like it. My AV guy. I wish you could see him. He's so handsome. And he's also my husband. Yeah. So, yeah, the love of my life and all of that. Yep, that's right, honey. So, are you putting it in the chat? What do I see? Will you make it?
Yeah.
I see
Lots of yeses.
your homework assignment. You didn't know that you were going to get some homework assignments, but there you go. There's a homework assignment. Try it out. All righty. But beans don't just stop there. Let's go back to our slides. And what else do we got for you? I mean, don't stop there. I want to see you, whether you've got your spouse or you don't, whether you're by yourself, whatever you are. One of my easiest things I do is I just open up a can of garbanzo beans. I rinse them and drain them. And I use about a third to a half of a can just for me. Scott and I will split a can, or maybe it goes 3 ways sometimes. I get 3 servings out of it. But just add some, this is my new crouton, right? I never have a salad without a bean on it of some sort. That is a great way to help stepping you in to beans more often. Everyday salad hummus. This is also in the Eat Real cookbook. Is a great way to make it every day, or if you have your own recipe for making hummus, or if you cheat and buy it already made at the store, that's okay too. And this is one of the recipes from the cookbook, slow cooker enchilada chicken soup. It's got black beans in it, and this is like nachos in a bowl. It's like, oh my gosh, it's like such a great soup. Red lentils tomato soups, another recipe in the cookbook if you wanted to see. Now I'm sharing with you the 3 that I'm demoing for you, but these are recipes that are available to you as well if you wanted to get the Eat Real cookbook. I know some of you might win the Eat Real cookbook because I got some giveaways going on. And then another great way is these Mexican black bean veggie pizzas. We're having these tonight for dinner. And you mash up some black beans, you smear it on the bottom. I'm telling you, this is the most amazing thing with this avocado cream on top. Oh, the flavors are amazing. So anyway, beans can go in a lot of places, even pizza. You got that? So you ready? You ready to try that? So that was food number 1, beans. We learned there can be some delicious and tasty ways to do that. I think I see that you'll try the recipe. Hopefully you're going to try beans, try to push them up on the menu a little bit more often, find unique ways to utilize them. Bean soup more often, more beans. But the next thing is, what is food number 2? Are you ready? Let's do a little drum roll, please. A little drum roll series. Food number 2, are we ready? It's fish. And vegetables too. I could pick those for sure. But fish. And it could be any fish, but salmon predominantly. Salmon really comes in high in omega-3s. True or false? Tell me what you think. I want you to hover over the chat. Hover over the chat. Tell me. Give me a T or give me an F. What do you think? Consuming fish 5 times a week reduces your risk of death from heart disease by 30%. I see some truths. I see some truths. I love it. You guys are pretty good.
One false.
Oh, we got one false. Maybe another. Who is it that said false?
Angie.
Angie Smith said false. Somebody else said
Terry.
false. Terry said false too. Guess what? The answer is false. So you two are the winners. Because the answer is 40%. Wow. 40%. Yeah, I just had to be a little tricky with you. Now, some of you are going, wait a second, Zonya, there is no way that I can eat fish 5 times a week, right? No way that I can do fish 5 times a week. But let me think about this for a second. There are 14 lunches and dinners in a week, right? 7 lunches, 7 dinners, that's 14 potential options for fish. Out of those 14, could 5 of them be fish? Unless you're vegetarian, which even being vegetarian may be even more beneficial. All right. More vegetarian meals, I highly, highly, highly promote you to do. But not everybody wants to be completely plant-based or vegetarian or vegan. But if you are choosing chicken or fish or meat or pork, I definitely want you to include fish. So instead of thinking beef, pork, chicken, fish, right? You know how we think? Beef, pork, chicken, fish. Fish, chicken, pork, beef, pork. Okay. What do you think? Fish 5 times a week. If we could trade that up, and you're just a recipe away from doing that, 2 or 3 recipes away from doing that. It's finding recipes that and finding a place to buy that fish and start serving it or ordering it more often when you go out. So leveraging fish to really give you the good omega-3 fats that bring heart disease down and replacing it with other fats that create heart disease in the body. So it's a great swap. And that's really important. So 5 times a week between tuna, a couple times for lunch, between eating fish out once a week, between making fish at home, I'm going to show you some great ways to sneak it in. Okay, so here we go. Back to our slides. Let me just show you what we got here for why. First of all, let's review some more about why fish works like this so well. Why does it work so well? It's rich in the omega-3 fatty acids, which douse the flames of inflammation. And then salmon is particularly rich in something. I can't see it because it's all covered up on my slides. Oh, DHA and EPA. Yeah, those are the 2 really good omega-3s. So when you go to take a fish oil, if you're going to take a fish oil, which I go into this in my long-term course that I talk about into supplements, how to really read these, but just a quick up is that you want the DHA and the EPA. That's what you really want. And most health organizations recommend 1,000 milligrams of those if you're going to supplement. You will not get it if you don't do 5 a day. And so taking in a really good high quality omega-3 fish oil capsule, I'm not against by any means if you're not going to do fish. I think that certainly is an option for you. And an excellent source of B vitamins like B12 and niacin, particularly. And then higher consumption of fish is linked to lower levels of triglycerides, among other risk factors for heart disease. So really good stuff, right? So really good. Fish is amazing stuff. Now, I pick on salmon a lot, but really cod and even shrimp, cold shrimp, or not, cocktail shrimp, that counts too. It's got omega-3s in it and it's low in saturated fat. So all kinds of fish. I want you to try wherever you can be. Trout. I had a friend over and she wouldn't eat salmon, but I served trout for dinner and she was like, I'm having this. I'm like, yeah, trout is just as good. But the other way to make it really easy is if you don't like buying it fresh and cooking with it is to buy it in these envelopes or in a can. These are really great. They don't have the bones and they don't have the skin and they're really convenient. And I'm making, I have used so many cans over there, that red sockeye salmon. Pink salmon has a little less omega-3s than red. So always looking for red when you can. Buying wild when you can. Looking for that wild. All 3 of these are wild. That's great. So looking for these when you can. Those are great. So bringing you right in to what I want to make for you today. I want to show you how, yeah, you can buy it and cook fillets, great, but I'd like to show you how to conveniently use that can or the envelope and turn it into these baked salmon patties. Sound pretty good? All right, let's roll. Let me show you how to put these together. You can serve it on a salad like that, or you can turn them into a burger. So we can replace burgers. That's right. Now, this is like 5-ounce wild caught. These are in the can too. This is a skinless, boneless version. Pink salmon is another way that you can find it. This one's wild. The ones in the can aren't wild. So maybe the ones in the envelope are a little bit better. This also is wild in the red sockeye. Like I said, I go through cans and cans and cans of these. We just love these. So I'm going to show you the envelope because the envelope might be like super ultra most convenient. And you can find these really pretty everywhere. So there's no bones, there's no skin to pick out. And I don't even pick out the bones or the skin. I just grind them with my fork and just mix them all in when I'm using that can. But when it's the envelope, this is what they look like. And so it's really pretty convenient. And I just flake it with a fork like this. And then we're going to run in and get all of our tasty ingredients in here up next and central. So it has 2 eggs, and 2 eggs are fine with your cholesterol. This is going to serve 6 people, so that is not an issue. But if you wanted to use 4 egg whites instead, you could, by all means, you could. Almond flour, I'm using almond flour, which is one of my nutrition dynamos that I love to use. But if you wanted to just use oat flour, you could use some oats instead. I can whiz it up in your food processor to make it into flour if you wanted to. And then that's just some diced red pepper, which is really amazing. And then there I am with my Dijon mustard again. I do have to admit, I love me some Dijon mustard. And so we have a teaspoon of that going in there. No, wait, a tablespoon of that going in there. And then what we have is the chopped garlic. Yep, that was a lot of nice cloves going in there of chopped garlic, 3 of them. So a half a clove per person. That's great for the heart. And then dill, we got a 1/4 teaspoon of dill. You could always add more if you wanted to. And pepper, 1/4 teaspoon of pepper is going in there. And wow, that is gonna be some great flavor right there, is all going in there. Some really great tasty. And then once I mix it up, I divide it into 6s like that because it's gonna make 6 patties. And this helps me get there so they're equal and even. And at first you think these are not going to hold together. Oh, I must need another egg. No, you don't. It's going to hold together. Just kind of form it together. And that's so cool. We're going to bake these instead of pan frying them, which flipping them over and they fall apart. You don't have to worry about it. These are going to come out perfectly and they're going to hold together wonderfully. So before you know it, you've got 6 of them all made like that. And even if you're only 1 or 2 people, make them because you cook them, bake them, and have them in the fridge afterwards, leftovers. They're planned overs. They make for great sandwiches later in the week. So they'll keep the leftovers, planned overs will keep. Now, I'm going to make an amazing sauce, this amazing spicy tartar sauce that uses mostly Greek yogurt. I use a lot of Greek yogurt in my life, that non-fat plain Greek yogurt. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of mayonnaise to this, a tablespoon and a half. That's why it's kind of heaping. And that light mayo is just going to give it a little of the mouthfeel that you want. Now you can use chopped pickles or capers. Oh, capers are special. Yeah, so a tablespoon of those. But if you'd rather just use pickles, you can chop up some pickles to add to this. But this will make it special. Now wait for it. The next ingredient's going to put you over the top. It's sriracha. That's right, 1 to 2 teaspoons. So I made a little heaping teaspoon. Sriracha. I am on my 3rd bottle of this now. My co-author, Krista Sanderson, taught me to fall in love with sriracha and how much flavor it adds to foods. It's such a fun condiment. Look at those. Ladies and gentlemen, they're holding together fantastically. And let me just tell you that my husband and son, they love a burger. Yep, they love a burger. So we're going to serve these on these nice 100% whole grain hamburger buns for them because they need it. They have the calorie burn. And that will work for them. Like they need that bun to be satisfied. They need that extra calorie burn, right? And then I'm serving this with, well, la-ti-da. Am I serving it with French fries or chips? No, we're serving it with that wonderful healthified 3 bean salad. Now for me, in my 60-year-old body, it's time for me to maybe, sometimes I have the bun when I've exercised a lot and I'm really hungry. And then sometimes I'm like, no, this is going to be perfect. This is the right amount for me. And you may find that to be you as well. So there you go. Let me tell you, that sauce was easy to make, wasn't hard. And oh my goodness, it's delicious. I just can't tell you the sauce, and it's a wonderful combination with the bite of that arugula. Yeah, the bite of that. It's so amazing. Now, first of all, how many of you will try that? Go ahead and put it in the chat. A yes. And you can put no, but if you put no, you got to tell me why. You mean no, not yet. Why? Not yet, because I'll still talk you into it, unless you're allergic or something like that. But I'd love to see that. So back to the slides. Let me show you a little bit more about this that I want to share with you. And that is, what if instead of a hamburger once a week for a year, what if you traded out a quarter pounder with cheese? And I only picked this because we know the calories, we know the fat, saturated fat, fiber, sodium. This is with a medium French fry, okay? Which a medium French fry would be typical at a golf resort, something like that. The nutrition, that's what we're looking at. 15 grams of saturated fat, not just, and 42 grams of total fat. What if you said, okay, for 1 year, Zonya, I'll swap it out and I'll have my baked salmon patty with the 100% whole wheat sandwich thins, maybe, or a bun, either one, and a half a cup of 3-bean salad. I'm going to do that. I'm going to have that and stuff. First of all, it's less calories, so you probably start slimming down a little bit if you have a little extra. And, but look at that. The saturated fat went from 15 grams of saturated fat down to 3. Total fat, 42 down to 16. And the sodium, look at that. That's helping your blood pressure. But let's really key in. And then the fiber went from 7 grams of fiber to 11 grams of fiber. We need more fiber. Fiber is so important for lowering our cholesterol, but also feeding our microbiome. It's the snack chips. It's what we need to have a healthy microbiome. But let's focus on that saturated fat. It saves 12 grams of saturated fat if you made this swap. And if you did it for once a week for 52 weeks in a year, that would be 624 grams of saturated fat per year would be saved. Now, I happen to know there's 224 grams in a cup. So that's just under 3 cups of saturated fat not going through your body in a year. Do you want to see what that looks like? Here's 2 cups heaping to make 3 cups. This isn't the total fat. This is the saturated, solid at room temperature, artery clogging fat. Science knows, we know that solid saturated fat, this tells our liver to make cholesterol, and we start making cholesterol. You would remove this away, out of your body by making that healthier choice. And it's still a burger, and it's still amazing flavor, but it's so much less. What do you think? Huh. Now will you say yes to try the burger for those of you that were reluctant? Amazing. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're going, Zon, no, wait. Let's go back to our slides. You're like saying, I can't eat one of those salmon patties every single week for a year. Come on, can I have a little variety? Well, yes, it can be different every week. And I'm here to help you out with that. Absolutely. Well, I gave you that recipe is posted. If you're serious about it in the cookbook, there's this baked fish Parmesan. Out of this world. I don't care. You got teenagers coming to visit. I don't care who they are. They're going to love that recipe right there. Or the salmon with white beans, kale, and honey mustard. You do it all in one skillet. It turns out amazing. And you make another sauce like that with that great Greek yogurt. Yep, that's really awesome. Or this panko crusted mustard salmon or trout. I have the 28-day Eat Real Kickstart, and that's 28th recipe. We saved the best for last. It's so good. Everybody I ever have over for dinner and I serve that, they all want the recipe and they all go home making that. And it's so simple to make. So I'm telling you, you can make fish and you can make it delicious. And I really think 5 times per week is not that hard. It's not that hard. Yeah, you can do it. Well, we have talked about 2 amazing foods so far. We have talked about how fish can replace out some fattier meats and how that can make a big difference. We've talked about beans. What in the world could be food number 3? Are you ready for food number 3? Are you ready? Well, here it is. An apple? Really? An apple. Well, let me ask you this. Did you know that this 2013 British Medical Journal study concluded that the 150-year-old proverb of an apple a day is able to match modern medicine, statin drugs, and effectiveness while likely having fewer side effects? Yep, an apple a day. How about this one? Did you know this review of studies published in the Journal of Advances of Nutrition concluded that apples could help reduce not only heart disease, but cancer, asthma, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, while improving bone health and weight control? An apple? But an apple a day is so boring. Well, before I tell you how they're not boring, I'm going to prove to you today that they're delicious. How do they do that? Well, they contain their superpowers are that they contain pectin, a soluble fiber that blocks cholesterol absorption in the gut. It's like a statin drug, natural. So you see how the skin of that apple is there in nature, and pests are trying to land on that apple. Well, they're trying to fight off, and they have all these wonderful antioxidants, all these fabulous nutrients right at the skin. So you always want to eat the skin. That's like really important. So that's really important. They have polyphenols and other antioxidants that fight heart disease by lowering blood pressure and cholesterol. So you get both, right? So you're totally, not only is your cholesterol going to go down, but your whole risk for heart disease because you're lowering your blood pressure too. And I want you to eat the skin, like I was saying. It's loaded with fiber and the other beneficial nutrients that are so important. And yes, I want you to choose organic whenever possible. Yes, because they're on the Dirty Dozen list from the, Environmental Working Group. So yes, I always go into the grocery store and I look, there's the apples, where's the organic? Oh, they have 3 choices of organic, or maybe just 1 choice of organic. And I look at it and I'm like, hey, these look pretty good. And they're always really good. So buy organic when you can. But I don't get all obsessed if they don't have any organic, or if someone offers me an apple that's not organic, or I check into my hotel and they have that bowl of apples there. You betcha I'm going to dive in and grab one. I'm just going to wash it really well. But buying organic when you can, I think is definitely important in this particular category for sure. Now, here's where it really is. How do you get your family members to love it? Or how do you got to find your favorite. I remember having my son's friend Tyrick over, and he was like, do you have a Granny Smith apple? I'm like, a Granny Smith apple? Who likes those? He goes, I love them. They're so tart. And they're all the way on the tart scale. I never used to buy them because I like sweet apples, right? And so whenever he'd come over, I'd make sure I'd have Granny Smith for him. And he's right. They're really great in their own right. They're just different. And I used to think Red Delicious must be the best apple. And as new in college, going to college, I would always buy Red Delicious apples because I thought they were probably the best, but they were terrible. And they would like end up going bad before I ate them all because their textures, and I don't know, I just don't think they're the best. Oh, a Fuji or a Honeycrisp. A Brayburn. Go ahead and put it in the chat. What's your favorite? All right, list your favorite and buy those, and buy something different each time. Like I love to buy a bag of Fuji, and we do Fuji for a week. And then the next week it's Brayburn. And the next week. And like I said, I always go with what's organic. So that sometimes drives it. But I really want to encourage you that you may think you don't really like apples, but have you really tried the variety of them? And one person's yum is another person's yuck. Tart doesn't mean bad. Tart can be good, especially sliced and diced and added to a salad. Sometimes those are truly the best choices. So give that a try. All righty. I want to show you this Dreamy Fruit Nutty Salad, and it's just an amazing dish that I make. You get the recipe to this, and I make this almost weekly. I always have apples, and it's really kind of a dessert. So let's go ahead and turn in your hymnals. Take a look at your recipe, Dreamy Fruit and Nutty Salad. And we're starting off with an apple and chopping that up. Now, this also has strawberries and blueberries in it, but you could just add another couple apples to this. You can just do that instead if you'd like. Sometimes if I have pineapple, whether it's fresh or canned, I might sub that. You can sub and swap fruit out. But this just gives you a good base, and this is beautiful color and amazing antioxidants. This This dessert or salad is so scores in every category, lowering your cholesterol, reducing your risk of dementia. It does so much. Now, we are making this dessert quality, and I am using honey, and good local honey is actually medicinal food. And so that amount of honey is perfectly acceptable for this serving. Gosh, this serves 6 people. So it's not really very much added sugar at all. Now, chia seeds, those are amazing in omega-3s, also walnuts. Both pack an omega-3 punch and fiber, and they help lower your cholesterol and reduce inflammation in the body. So we've got it all, ding, 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 going on in this delicious, what I would call dessert, but a salad. And you might look at those chia seeds. Some of you are looking at those chia seeds and going, chia seeds. Some of you are going, ooh, chia seeds. And it all comes with them being new and getting used to them. And then you just love chia seeds. And chia seeds are a great way to add omega-3 to your diet, especially if you can't eat fish. If you're allergic to fish, don't like fish, and that might be one of your questions in the chat. We'll be looking at those in a minute. What if you're allergic to fish or don't like fish? That would be an answer. Walnuts, make that your primary nut and eat them daily. Yep, a handful daily. And also chia seeds and flaxseed. Those 3 right there are plants that can absolutely kind of work. I do that and fish, but you can do just those. And that can replace fish for those of you asking about that. So that dessert, okay, salad, dessert, whatever you want to call it, is scores every time. It's so delicious and so good. So I really want you to try it. Will you try it? Try it. Put it in the chat. Are you going to try it? Try it. All righty. So that's bringing it home for you. I am almost ready to share some questions and be able to do that for you. So we'll get ready. Kelsey will bring me your questions that you have because I've finally done my 3 foods. But let's go back to my slides and let me land this plane for you. Land this plane for what I wanted to share with you today. And one, I really do hope you'll make this. But also in the cookbook, I have this broccoli cauliflower salad that you add apples to. Yep. So it even has olives in it. It's such a unique combination. It's a great, great salad. So I'd love for you to try that too. And the olives are like bacon, they add that nice savory flavor without being bacon. And so talk about heart healthy. And again, we use Greek yogurt as part of the mayonnaise for that. Another way to get apples in baked oatmeal cups. That's another recipe in the cookbook that you might enjoy. And you can put in any kind of fruit, but you can put in chopped apples because that's great too. So, and those baked oatmeal cups, you can bake them up, you can freeze them, take 1 out, 2 out in the morning and thaw it out in the microwave. Oh my goodness, they're so great. And the oats sponge cholesterol out of you. Yeah, that should be in the top. That's the top 4 foods that lower cholesterol, definitely. So in summary, the 3 top, well, hang on, before we do this, hang on, I got a story to tell. I have 2 little stories to tell. And that is, if it feels like I'm pushing you into areas, fish, maybe that's not so comfortable for you. Pushing you into areas with beans, don't really like those. And there is a product called Beano. Beano, you can go to the pharmacy and you can buy this Beano. It's just an enzyme. It's not a drug or medicine or anything. And it's the enzyme that some of us make less of. And you can put it on your first bite of beans and it will and you will digest it wonderfully and you won't have the gassy musicalness. But adding beans in small amount gradually to your diet will absolutely take away and make them not be such a bean thing, so musical. Okay. Just saying, adding them gradually in small amounts, but also using a product called Beano is another way to help manage that. Okay. So that answers that question, I hope. And the other thing I want to say, if you feel like I'm pushing you out of your comfort zone, I want you to know this, that here is your comfort zone. And today I am absolutely pushing you to where the magic happens. So many people think they're doing everything they can to get their cholesterol down. And they aren't, but they don't know what they don't know. And they think it's hard and they think it's tasteless, and it's not. Delicious magic can happen right here. And let me just share with you the magic. I got this email just 5 days ago. This email, hot off. She says, I wanted to express my gratitude for your programs. I adhered to the plan for 90 days of this conquering cholesterol prior to my cardiac blood work. This week was the first week where the payoff presented itself in print. Overall cholesterol is down 52 points. The other numbers are all improved too. She says, when I told my cardiologist I hadn't taken the statin as prescribed, I surely thought he was going to fire me. Laugh out loud, she says. However, he was thrilled. And in his excitement, he rallied his medical students to come in and hear my story. He said, how did you do it? He goes, nobody else can do it. I have to prescribe statins because people just don't want to make the changes that they need to change. What did you do? And she then told him an apple a day. I started doing beans every day. She was like, I'm so satisfied. Beans with avocado on top. I'm good to go. She was like touting off the things that she was doing. Fish, who knew? Salmon burgers instead of hamburgers. She was sharing with him the things that she did. And the doctor was like, wow, every patient I see just says, I don't want to give up bacon and eggs, doc. And he was like, okay, here's statins. But what if you knew what else to have for breakfast? A frittata with sweet potatoes and all kinds of vegetables in it, antioxidant-rich foods at breakfast. What if you knew what to use instead? That's what we're talking about, where the magic is. So yay to Sherry who sent this email in, and yay you, because that can be you. All right, let's land this plane. And that is back to my slides. I just want to share, what did we cover today? What did we cover? And here we go. The top 3 featured foods to lower cholesterol: beans, salmon, apples, learning the variety of the ways to shop for and prepare these foods so they are forever interesting and delicious for everyone in the family. That is key. And lowering inflammation is as important too. And just know that these real foods are the tip to the iceberg. There's much more to learn, and I love to share it. So never, ever stop learning. You got that? And I don't have to preach to the choir because you are the choir. That's why you are here. You know you never stop learning. So that's just great. So then I think that's, oh, and I do have another slide to share. That's wrong. We'll go back to sharing our slides. And I just wanted to say, just don't miss what's next. If you liked today, then you'll like March 6th. I'll be back. And it's maximize your brain, what to eat, to think and feel your best. So make sure you put that on your calendar and make sure you get registered for that if you aren't already. And then also, also watch the replay of Anti-Aging Food Secrets from January 24th if you didn't see that. All right, so that's good. And now I'm ready for questions. So there we go. So Kelsey, yay.
Okay, so I think I'm going to try to group these by each of the 3 foods because we've gotten a bunch of great questions about each. So we'll start from with the apples. So we've gotten a couple of questions about the honey and the sugar in the salad. Can you sort of explain why those amounts are okay in that recipe?
Thank you so much for asking. So many people say, oh, but I have diabetes. I can't have that. Oh, beans, too much carbohydrates in that. And let me answer you this. Your brain requires simple carbohydrate for its functioning. And if it doesn't get that simple carbohydrate, it will send you a craving for sweets. So the fact that you are going to live the rest of your life with no honey and with no fruit, it ain't going to happen. Not going to happen. And, but when you have them in small amounts, that amount of honey, that served 6 people. 6 people. Oh no, 4. This served 4 people. And the honey is 2 teaspoons. So it's a half a teaspoon per person.
Okay.
That is, studies show that we can have, ladies, up to 6 teaspoons of added sugar a day. Honey counts as an added sugar, and it is one of the best ways to get your added sugar, especially if it's a local honey. So that is absolutely, I use that plain tart yogurt. And some people like that plain tart yogurt and they don't need the honey. So omit the honey if you would like. You absolutely can. And a lot of you are used to that and just letting the sweetness from the apples and the raisins sweeten that. That's perfectly fine. But let me share with you another sentence that came from this person who wrote me. She also went on to say, this is a brief note of gratitude for how good I feel, my appreciation for being free of a lifelong sugar addiction.
Mm.
She said, fruit is all you said it is. And you are making it all so easy, meaning that we should not be afraid of fruit. And every single human being should eat at least 3 or 4 servings of fruit every day. I don't care if you have type 2 diabetes, type 1 diabetes, don't care if you should absolutely have that. Because the fact that you're going to not have any sugars at all, you know how successful you're going to be with that? 0. It's not going to happen. But if you have 4 fruits a day, your brain's going to get its simple carbohydrate and you're going to go, oh, thank you very much. I had that very much. And you're not going to get sweet cravings. You're not going to get them. They're not going to happen. And you're going to be happy. And you get antioxidants and fiber. An apple is so loaded with so many things that are good for you. And to throw it under the bus because it has sugar in it, wrong thing to do. This is something we have done in nutrition for a long time. Oh, that food's got cholesterol in it. Eggs, bad for you. Oh, that food over there, bad for you. But wait a second, did we look at all the other good thing that's in it? So no, you can eliminate that tiny bit of honey if you want to, but it was only ½ a teaspoon per person. So thank you for asking.
Yeah, of course. A couple more substitution questions for that recipe. One was if there are any other nuts that they could use aside from walnuts, and if craisins would be an okay substitute for the raisins.
If walnuts would be an okay substitute for the raisins?
Or
Yeah.
no, for the walnut. Are there any substitutes for the walnuts in that recipe?
Oh, are you kidding me? I think I even say, or nut of your choice. Yeah, nuts are 100% always interchangeable. I'll open up my cupboard and if I go, oh, out of walnuts, use almonds instead. Absolutely interchangeable for what you like or what you have. Yep.
Okay, and then are craisins a good substitute just for normal raisins?
You know what? I love craisins, but I am going to tell you this. Raisins have 0 added sugar.
Mm,
And craisins have a lot of added sugar.
makes sense.
Total amount is the same, but craisins have added sugar, but they have a lot of antioxidants because cranberries are really high in antioxidants. So for me to say, yeah, it's an okay, well, it is an okay, depending on your nutritional needs and how perfect you want to be. So yes, it's an okay interchange. And I do use cranberries a lot. But let me tell you, let me show you what I changed to recently. Dun, ta, da. Yep, you see my things here. Here is cranberries have a lot of sugar. I have them. I like them. I use them, especially in a recipe where I need that sweetness to be part of the thing that's sweetening it. But you can buy them no sugar added. No sugar added. Now, when I snack on these, they're not that sweet and yummy like the other ones, but they are tart and amazing. And so just know that when you add them to a recipe, that one isn't sweetening it like the other. So anyway, answer is yes, but there you go. Next
Oh,
question.
are roasted nuts as good as, raw or unroasted nuts?
Great question. Whenever you roast nuts, don't roast them. My mom used to do this. She used to roast them, put them in a jar and put them in her cupboard and then use them a month later.
Mm,
Whenever you roast nuts, it does deteriorate the fat that's in it. And if you use it right away, that's great. Toasting nuts brings out wonderful flavor. And in many of our recipes, we will suggest toasting nuts when we feel like it really is great in the recipe. So you can toast nuts, but do it fresh, toast them, or put them in the refrigerator airtight for a week. You can use them for a week. But other than that, I wouldn't, because the oil will start to oxidize and break down. Great
Yeah,
question.
makes
Thank you.
sense. Okay, let's go back to the salmon and the fish. So first question there is canned tuna along the same par as, canned salmon or some of the other fishes?
Perfect question. Albacore tuna, we used to always tell you to buy albacore because it has more omega-3. But the new studies show that albacore has more mercury, more of the things that we're trying to avoid, toxins, right? Bad things, because it's a large fish and eats smaller fish. So we actually suggest you get light tuna in water. And as long as you limit that to no more than 2 cans per week, they do have a limit on it. And there are a lot of keto dieters or bodybuilders that will eat a can of tuna every day for lunch.
Mm,
And so I just want to caution you that it's one of those fish where salmon doesn't have that restriction at
okay.
all. So yes and no. I absolutely have tuna in my cupboard. I absolutely, it's a go-to food, but I just
Yeah.
make sure it's not more than 2 cans a week. Think, great question.
Okay, to kind of play off of that a little bit, we got a bunch of questions about some of the toxins and the mercury that can be in fish. So would you say that really the biggest worry there would be with that albacore tuna or other fish as well?
You know what? It's a great question. And I will be covering that in March because I'm
Perfect.
going to be talking about brain health. And I'm going to go through each of the fish that are known that we need to absolutely and which ones
Mhm.
we need to like, cut back on. And so I will cover that in depth there. But the quick answer right now is tuna, only light tuna, no more than twice a week. If it's albacore tuna, no more than like once a month.
Okay.
And but salmon, there's no limits on. It never has mercury in it. Now, it may have PCBs or other things from farmed salmon. So
Mm,
that's why wild is preferable unless you can find a really good farmed salmon, which, it's like marketing to find out who's really a good, safe salmon farmer. But in
mhm.
typical, wild is best. Although I do have farm salmon occasionally. Right now, I do subscribe to that expensive, but I'm liking it so far. It's called Wild Alaskan
Mm.
Seafood, and they ship to your door, and it's straight from Alaska, and it's, you know, love it. Dry ice, solid, frozen, goes in my freezer, and we're amazed really at the quality of it. So mm, I don't know. That's your quick answer, but be here in March for more details.
Very nice. Okay, so I think the last sort of salmon question we have would be for those who either really don't like shellfish or are allergic to, seafood and shellfish. You kind of mentioned, chia seeds and flax seeds, and that's how you can get some of those omega 3s. Are there any other foods that you would maybe recommend to kind of do the same thing as a salmon or a fish, but without the actual being from the sea part of it?
Yeah, yeah. So those three, chia seeds, flaxseed, and I add ground flaxseed to oatmeal and cereal and any baked good every single time. So we are going through so much ground flaxseed. Chia
Mhm.
seeds, sprinkling them on like anything and everything and adding chia seeds to every smoothie that you get. One or the other goes in every smoothie. And then the other is walnuts. Walnuts have good omega 3s as well. Out of all the nuts, walnuts are the highest. So they are preferable in that category. And then the
Okay.
other one would be hemp. HEMP, it's called hemp seed.
Yeah.
It also is a really great source as well and high in protein. And you can buy it in a bag in, the natural healthy food section. And hemp, you can sprinkle that on salads and soups and, smoothies and oats, that kind of thing. So there you go. That's your plant sources.
Perfect.
Good questions.
Okay, moving back to beans. So, first question there would be, what is sort of the recommended amount, maybe per day or per serving, that should be taken to sort of have the full benefits?
Great. A half a cup daily.
Okay.
A half a cup daily would be great. So if you goal for it every day and only land, shoot for the moon and or shoot for the stars and land on the moon, kind
Uh-huh.
of a thing. If you only get 3 to 4 times a week, that's great. But I think a half a cup every day. So like Scott and I will open up a can of those beans, rinse and drain them, or open up 2 cans, rinse and drain them, and put them in
Mhm.
the Tupperware. And then it's just quick add to salads, quick add to things. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Great. What about we had someone ask whether or not refried beans could be included in our bean intake.
yeah, I love refried beans out of a can. Now, there's some that are low sodium, which might be really important for you, especially if sodium, blood pressure is a problem for somebody in the family. So I would definitely get the lower in sodium because sometimes they're a little bit high. I'm also cooking beans from scratch and then freezing them in Ziploc bags in my freezer. So it's like a can of beans. I'll just take them out and I've got a can of
Yep.
beans. But refried beans, Yeah. And in fact, one of my favorite recipes is to take pinto beans with salsa and blend them up into a refried paste. And then I have that in my fridge and we call that bean paste. And then we can use that bean paste for so many things. So yeah.
Very nice. Now, would you say that edamame is part of the bean family, or are they more in the green bean family?
They're more in the good bean family that we're talking about. Definitely edamame is a very, I do suggest that all soy you buy be organic.
Mm, okay.
Now, I've been a nutritionist now 37 years or something. And in my early part of my career, I was like, no, organics aren't worth it. No, they're fine. It's all the same. And the more and more and more I see the studies, it's like, particularly for soy food, definitely. So I buy soy milk and I buy organic. It makes the difference because they use glyphosate on that farming practices. And there are a lot of links to health questions, particularly Parkinson's disease. So organic soy and edamame, love that food so much. And I love to buy it already potted and adding it to stir fries and things, but I also like it in the pods and it's so fun to eat, taking them out of the
Yeah.
pods, but buy organic.
Cool. I know we're at time, but I think there's like one or two really good final questions. Is that all right?
I'm okay with that. Go.
Okay, great. So, first one would be if someone is a little bit concerned about their potassium intake because of kidney disease or kidney function, could they eat beans that are in that are high in potassium, or is that something that they should maybe avoid?
That is a really great question for, it's funny, we need to have a lot of potassium in our diet, except for if your kidneys are having a problem with potassium, and you would know that because your doctor would tell you. So
Mhm.
I'm going to have to allow to your doctor or the dietitian that you meet with, because depending on your potassium restriction, so they'll tell you what your daily potassium restriction is. And
Mhm.
then they can tell you how many beans you can have in a day, because you certainly can have beans, but it's going to matter if you have beans and a banana and
Mhm.
um, an orange. And so it really kind of matters about the whole day. You know what I'm saying? So that
Yeah,
question for
totally.
me to answer it yes or no is going to be based on everything else. And it's a longer, and it requires a dietitian all in on you and knows your level. So great question. I would say in general, I have a cup of, in general, you should be able to have that. Um, you should be able to have that and you can restrict potassium in other places, but I want to not answer that for you.
No, that totally makes sense. Okay,
Okay.
and then finally, we've got a bunch of questions asking about the differences between the recipes in your two cookbooks and where they can find them.
All right. Thanks for asking. Zonya.com. If you go there, you'll see a lot of free recipes. You'll see shop, watch and enroll. That's where you'll find where my cookbooks are listed there. And the two differences, great question. This is the first book that I wrote, and I wrote this 25 years ago. I revise it every 5 years when we print it again. And they both stand upright on your kitchen countertop, which is really cool. This one does not have pictures. But this one is easy things that you can make in 1 minute, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and 30 minutes when you have a lot of time. I still cook from this to this day. Mexican lasagna I just saw. Oh my gosh, these are just great favorite recipes. Tantalizing turkey loaf, common everyday things. I did not call for kale or anything
Mm.
weird in here. No quinoa, nothing weird. These are common everyday ingredients. It's replacing meatloaf with turkey meatloaf. It's all these great swap outs for just common everyday. But then people go, well, hey, I'm ready for some more exciting foods like kale and quinoa, and
Uh-huh.
doing things a little bit more exciting. And so this book has those more exciting things and takes your diet to the next level. And it has a color photo of everything. So at Zonya.com, they're also at Amazon.com too, if you prefer, but I'll autograph it for you if you order it at Zonya.com. And yeah, there is a 2-book special. If you wanted to get both, you can look inside. So click on that button and you can look inside, and that'll help you decide too which book or both. I mean, this is how I live. Like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, very
Thank you
cool.
for
Well,
asking.
yeah, this isn't really a question, but we have questions about where to get the recordings. And this recording, the last recording. So for all of you Trilogy members out there, please go on to MTL. You can either go under the news section and find that under the title of Keynote Speaker Series Recording, or if you search Keynote Speaker Series in MTL and then go to the news section results, you'll be able to find it there as well. So they are both on MTL, or they will be on MTL, both of them. The first one is now, the next one will be soon. And all of the recipes will be posted there as well. So I think that is it. I know we didn't get to every single question, but thank you everyone for asking those. And thank you, Zonya, again for another really great presentation.
Oh, Kelsey, thank you so much. So proud of all your members. Stay healthy and well, and stay curious and always learning like you are. That is so awesome. Just really great. Thank you all so much. Be well.
Thank you,
Remember,
everyone. Have a good
be
day.
real. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.